Yeah, it is another episode of the Autumn Windbags. RJ Clifford, Juan Soto. Let's have some fun today. You know the fastest way to forget about a loss?
What's that?
Release a player for criminal activity, of course.
Of course.
Of course. So we heard rumblings that 2021 draft first round pick, Damon Arnette, cornerback out of Ohio State. We've heard rumblings that he's had some problems.
Yeah, he's,
Car issues, attitude issues,
gun issues.
That's off the field, right? That had kind of been rumbling for a while. On the field, he's been injury prone, not playing great. Basically, Casey Hayward got brought in to replace him. He has like 3 broken up passes in like
his career,
a season and a half, like his entire NFL career. Not a lot going on. And then we found rumors today, not rumors, but video of him wielding a gun and threatening somebody. And that plus cars, plus this, plus field means that the Raiders announced today on November 6th, or November 8th, excuse me, Damon Arnette has been released. Gone. Benito. So Mike Mayock, who I think has been, like, to add to this, an insane tumultuous season for the Raiders between losing the team president in front office, John Gruden getting fired / resigning, to Henry Ruggs in the deadly DUI, and now Damon Arnette. Mike Mayock has stepped up big time. Now, we will debate and we will kind of gauge how much of this is his fault. Like, he is the general manager of the Raiders, and so the players that come in, he has a big part of that, whether it was, Gruden's guy or whatever. Mike Mayock has been the dude to step up when Gruden was let go or resigned, whatever. He was one that ran that presser. And today, even though half the Raider media is like still in New York or traveling home, like I went to the game yesterday. I just got home like this late afternoon, early evening. He's like, whatever, like let's do a Zoom call. Let's figure this out. And here's the opening of that Zoom call.
Today we waived Damon Arnette. Very painful decision. We spent significant time, effort, and resources trying to help him in all facets of his life. There have been a series of bad decisions over the last year or so, but we cannot stand for the video of Damon with a gun threatening to take a life. The content was unacceptable, contrary to our values, and our owner, Mark Davis, has been very clear and very consistent that this is not how we will conduct ourselves in this community. The bottom line, the Raiders will not tolerate this type of behavior. On a personal note, I've talked to Damon, his dad, a couple others in his life. From my perspective, he's a very talented young man with a good heart. If he cleans up his life, I know he can make a living in the NFL, but not now with the Raiders.
So later on during that conference call, he talked about how they've spent more resources on following Damon Arnette and his story and his past than anyone else. They knew that there were some red flags in the past in his character. They were confident that they could work through it and that his skill was kind of worth rolling the dice. He also said, and interestingly enough, Mayock said, "This is 100% on me. Didn't try to throw Gruden under the bus, any other scouts under the bus, anything like that." He said, "This was my call, 100% on me, and I should take all the blame." And you saw in that video, I edited in the actual video that released, the TikTok video of him waving the gun, and I didn't play the audio because there's a lot of N-bombs. I didn't feel like muting all of them, but basically he was threatening the life of some mysterious person, saying, I'm going to kill you for real. I'll be at your house in 5 minutes. Just really gnarly stuff. So, Soto, really quick decision to cut his ass today once all this went off.
Yeah, if he would have been a starter, or if he would have been a player that was doing, a lot more on the field, I believe that it would have been more of a suspension or something like that. But given the fact that Arnette has basically done absolutely nothing to help the team on the field, and not only that, but really hasn't shown from all accounts, I mean, I don't know him personally, but from what I'm hearing and what I've read, he hasn't really done what's been asked of him off the field. Like Mayock was saying, a lot of off the field distractions.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's an easy decision, man. It makes it a lot easier. Are you valuable or are you not valuable? It makes a big difference. If you're not valuable and you're a distraction and you're a headache and you do some things, it's just couldn't be worse timing. Ruggs gets into an accident last week, takes a life. Arnette's talking about taking another life. Like, come on, man. Talk about someone who's just not aware, not self-aware. This guy feels like he's untouchable, or he's a lot more important than he actually is. It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. To sum it up, if he was better on the field, it would have been a little bit harder decision. Probably, maybe he wouldn't have even been released. But given the timing,
suspension fine.
Yeah, suspension fine. Yeah. But the thing is, just like college teams like impose self-sanctions sometimes, mm-hmm. I think the Raiders would have probably fined him, suspended him for however much time, and then went to the NFL. Hey, this is what we're getting ahead of this stuff.
Yeah. Preventive strike before the NFL comes in. No. We police ourselves. Don't you worry.
We already did it. We're already all over it. But given the fact that he's pretty much just taking up a roster spot, he's on IR, I guess, right now. But he's just a waste of a jersey, man. I don't know him personally, but dude, good riddance. Look, Damon Arnette was not a bust. Okay, Damon Arnette should have never been drafted where he was drafted. He was not in the top 50 players in that draft.
Yeah,
he was the worst corner on his college team. Taking him that high, that's a Raiders bust. That's not an Arnette.
Ohio State was stacked at DB.
Yeah,
those few years.
And dude, he was never should have been drafted that high. Mm-hmm. So that's a Raiders bust. That's not Damon Arnette's not a bust. He shouldn't have. He didn't ask to be drafted at 19. That's the Raiders bust for sure.
And also, this isn't like a one-time occurrence either. We got the report from Ian Rappaport. There were troubling off the field signs everywhere for Raiders first rounder Damon Arnette. For instance, in his first year in the NFL, Arnette crashed 4 rental cars within roughly a month, sources said. Now, after a tumultuous weekend, including online threats, he's out. Imagine that. Crashing 4 rental cars in a 30-day window. You have to be doing it on purpose. Like, was he doing like off-roading? Was he doing demolition derbies in Vegas? Like in between practices? I've been driving for over 20 years. I've wrecked a car one time when I was a teenager. That's it. One. He just, and it was a crappy like 1991 like Honda Accord. He's renting new rental vehicles. He's not renting like Volkswagen Scirocco's, right? Like he's in a Lincoln, he's in a Caddy, he's in a Beamer, he's in something nice, right? Wrecked 4 of them in a month. Like that is a sign of an issue, and not just a guy that like cheated on his driving exam. Like there is something wrong when you crash 4 times.
I mean, I've crashed 4 really big girls in a month, but not 4 cars.
I've crashed 4 parties in a month.
But I actually crashed 4. I crashed 4 weddings in a weekend. It's pretty sweet. I was in Nashville for a work thing, and we were staying at the I think the Gaylord Opry Hotel. I think this place is huge.
Yeah.
And they would have all these ballrooms, and I crashed 4 weddings. It was pretty sweet.
Well done. Was it all like super different ones? Like one was like a Jewish wedding, one was
there was
white
like
people, one was like what was it like? Was it
okay?
All, did you have to like change, like put on a yarmulke for one, put on like a Hawaiian shirt?
I was
for
myself.
Another?
So here's the deal: the first one was like a super religious, like all white people wedding, and they asked me, "Hey, what's your name?" I'm like, "Oh, it's my Peter Gazinia." I swear to God, and they're like, "Peter, cool man." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just here I just wandered in. I don't know what's going on here." Like, "Oh yeah, come on in." They were very nice.
Oh, so you said you crashed.
Yeah, and they didn't care. They were fine with it. The second one was a predominantly black wedding. That shit was off the chain, dude. That shit was fucking cool.
Yeah. You saw the dance floor and you're like, I can't get on there.
I went out there. I didn't give a fuck. I can move my shit. So the second and third one were black weddings, and of course they were fucking amazing, dude. Everyone there was super cool. I tell them up front, hey man, I'm just walking by. The door was open, so I walked in, and I didn't know what this was. Like, oh, dude, come on in. What's your name? Peter Gazinho. That's fine. So, and the last
with a name tag for the fourth one.
Yeah, the first one gave me a name tag with Peter G. That's so awesome. And the last one was like another a kind of a, I don't know, backwoods white person wedding.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty. That one was as fun. But
it's a lot of Bud Lights and chewing tobacco.
Everyone wanted to fight me, I think. So I was like, I'm gonna get out of here.
That was the smartest group of guys ever. See, finally you got to one wedding that understood. Let's not let Soto in here.
For sure.
You duped the first three. But anyway, like clearly signs that there's a problem. There's also the report that he allegedly injured a woman in one of those crashes and is facing like multiple lawsuits, right? So this wasn't even just like Henry Ruggs really had nothing like on the books of problems before, but because, someone died because of his terrible decisions, he's going to jail. That's a no-brainer. But with Damon Arnette, it's like, okay, this is unacceptable, plus X, Y, and Z, plus his history that we thought we can fix in college. This guy's got to go. And, he was one of the guys when he was drafted where, you're like, all right, Gruden grinders. Like, John Gruden wants high character guys, grinder guys, people who love football. And then they go and drafted Damon Arnette. And one, they reached for him. And two, he didn't fit the Gruden grinder thing at all. Like, this was a guy with
he did love football.
Flags. He's competitive and all, but
I mean, look,
this is what killed him. He was a Gunther guy. That's when you knew, okay, this guy's done.
Yeah. So the main thing here that I want to get across is, if you're gonna go after guys that have a specific set of whatever,
mm-hmm.
you have to be consistent. And that's the thing, is you can't take Cleveland Farrell at 4, 30 spots before he should have been taken, because he's a high character guy, and then take a Damon Arnette the next year. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You have to be consistent. And it's a lot of capital that we're basically wasting. That 2020 draft was abysmal. That's probably one of the worst drafts I have ever seen. Anybody, not just for Raiders.
Yeah.
But anybody.
It was brutal.
It's usually you see 5 years down the road, those guys really didn't amount to much, but they played.
Mm.
And then okay, yeah, they played, but they weren't all that great. That 2020 draft, that shit was bad, man.
So, football-wise, this is where we're at. About $7 million in dead cap space because they waived him. Corner, obviously, who's on injured reserve and wasn't a starter anyway, but he was a rotational guy, and he did certainly play, a dozen or more snaps a game when he was healthy. But now we're at, Nate Hobbs, Casey Hayward at corner, Trayvon Mullen, injured reserve. Hopefully he comes back pretty soon. True Font's in the mix. Faison's in the mix a little bit. Long term, Hobbs and Mullen.
Meek Robertson lost his job.
Meek Robertson lost. Yeah, so it's
he hasn't been playing.
So long term,
Faison took his job.
Long term, I mean, short term
is what it is. He wasn't here. He was IR anyway.
Yeah, it wasn't a big deal. Long term, we were still, I think, the most optimistic of us were hoping that he can figure this out, right? He was kind of a bump and run type of cornerback. Now it's kind of diffp thirds. Can he make that adjustment?
I never had that in him. He just was
most people didn't. Again, the most optimistic expectations, of course. Right? Okay, maybe he can turn into something. Right now, that's completely whatever.
I remember somebody said in the comment section, "Oh, Damon Arnette's going to ball out this year." I'm like, for who? On Madden?
Behind the wheel of multiple rented vehicles?
He's going to drive with his balls out? Is that what you mean?
So long term, if we can keep Casey Hayward, that would be amazing. But who knows? He's on a 1-year deal. Trayvon Mullen, I think, should be a starter for us for a while. Nate Hobbs could be there. So honestly, like football wise, I mean, it's embarrassing for the Raiders considering everything that's happened recently, and it's tough on all the people, all the coaches and what have you, because everyone's kind of like, what's our job going to be next season, right? Is Gus Bradley going to keep his job if there's a new head coach? Rich Bisaccia, I mean, if he goes to the playoffs and we do great, like they probably keep him, but it's so rare for an interim coach to keep the job long term. And Mayock's the guy. Like, now finally Mayock can actually be a general manager because he doesn't have Gruden telling him what to do. Having the trump card over him. He's now the decision maker. And he has to deal with this shit all the time, right? He's got to deal with Rose, got to deal with Arnette on top of, running a freaking NFL football team.
The thing is I think he's doing a great job, man. Like they made very swift decisions. Like they were very clear in what they expect from their team. Mm-hmm. And when you do things that they don't agree with, or that's just not in the culture they want to have with the team. I mean, it's everyone's responsibility in that organization. Like the culture is everyone's responsibility, whether you're a player or you're, in the front office or you're an executive or whatever. If you make money, if you're paid by the Raiders, the culture is your responsibility. And if you don't feel like the Raiders culture is your responsibility, well, maybe you should play for a different team.
Yeah. And
that's how Mayock feels. And I agree with him.
So one more thing. This leaked, like it looked like it was a Snapchat that somebody recorded on their phone, which they then put on TikTok, which then made its way on Twitter. Like, one, it's how dumb do you have to be for Damon Arnette to be threatening someone's life, recording yourself doing it with multiple weapons when you have lawsuits already coming your way and you're an NFL player? Like, that's pretty brain dead, right? Pretty dumb. But two, like, this had to get through multiple filters to get here. So here's the tweet that went viral. And this is the video that was on TikTok that made it out to Twitter, and then it kind of like, it spread from there, right? Look at who tweeted it. I wonder who he roots for. And oh yeah, this all came out the week the Raiders play the Chiefs.
He did us a favor, so thanks.
Right? he thought he'd be screwing us over, but really it's like, okay,
it was a fucking favor. Hey, so do you want to take a quick look?
But isn't this, it is like, just real quick, like this is exactly how like sneaky this stuff is. Like there is so much bullshit that professional athletes do, and what gets leaked and what doesn't isn't hardcore journalism. It isn't they just got so bad it became obvious.
Haters,
it's not the league doing investigations. It's someone with an agenda leaking it. That's what happened to John Gruden. That's what happened here. Like, people are going to be people, and we hold them to a very high standard when they're in the spotlight. And so for when this stuff leaks out, it's not reports, it's not stories. It's, like you said, haters, rivals, someone with an agenda. Like the NFL wanted Gruden out. So of all those, almost 1 million emails, they found the 4 that made Gruden look bad.
Yeah.
Robert Raymond 46 on Twitter.
I salute you, sir.
Was Patrick Mahomes staring at a goat in the mirror as his photo, as his profile pic. And a tight end that will remain nameless next to Patrick Mahomes on his like window photo. That's how it got out, and that's how it got released. Soto, that is the best way I can show you how like how it truly works when players end up getting in the spotlight and their dirty laundry airs out. It's shit like this.
It will never cease to amaze me how people, especially young athletes, are so fucking stupid. Mm-hmm. It never ceases to amaze me. And the problem is these guys I'm going to say every one of them, but a lot of them go through life being coddled because people want something from them.
Yeah.
And in this case, Damon Arnette knows that the Raiders want something from Damon Arnette. So they're going to maybe look away on a couple of things. But what Damon Arnette doesn't understand is once you get to that level, you can be replaced easily. So,
hey, Windbags, if you want Darren Waller to catch 20 touchdown passes this season, don't be afraid to click those subscribe, like, share, and comment buttons. Plus, your comment could be featured in the next What Up, Windbags?